ready. This is going to be exciting.
And the Geico restarts up we go. Green flag is out and we're underway.
Just a few laps into this. Oh, the 37's getting loose. Oh, and he saves it. Oh, they're going 3 wide.
We've got a 5-way fight for the win of this race coming to 4 laps to go. He's gonna win it here in spectacular fashion.
A week ago, the Foundation Series put on a great show at the Auto Club Motor Speedway, but tonight the tour for the Foundation Series rolls into Kentucky Speedway. But tonight, the Speedway isn't the only story, but somehow there is fog on the track tonight. A blanket of fog has come over from the hills of Kentucky into this track, so we're going to have an interesting race, but the drivers are on track qualifying. I have my man, Mike Browning. It's the Broso Show once again. Skylar Daly in the controls. Mike, how are we doing tonight?
I'm great tonight. I'm looking forward to this race after last week's absolute barn burner. This thing's going to be fun tonight. And yeah, a little reminiscent of some Charlotte. So hopefully nobody blows an engine and everybody flies into a wall. Let's keep away from doing that tonight.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But yeah, like I said, we're in Kentucky and somehow the fog has rolled into this track, but the drivers are able to be seen on track. So we'll try our best to see them. Partly cloudy with the huge bankings of Kentucky Speedway. It's a tri-oval, but I always take it as a continuous turn no matter where you are. The backstretch has a little straight, but these drivers are going to have a challenge tonight.
Yeah, super fun track. Lots of banking, good for multiple lines passing, and these guys are going to chew up some tires. It's going to be fun.
Fun indeed. And looking at the race analysis, kind of covered by the track info, but 70 laps is the race tonight. Pit road speed is going to be 45 with a tricky pit road entry. 3 tire sets available for the drivers with a 2 green white checker attempts if needed. 65% fuel and everybody on the same setup. So once again, everybody has the same chance to win tonight.
Yeah, the 3 tire sets available. If we go from last week, people were burning up all their rubbers. So I think we're going to see quite a few people maybe use all 3 of those, especially if we get some cautions here and see what the kind of fall off we have. But yeah, it looks like we're getting pretty close to wrapping up qualifying here.
Yeah, getting close to wrapping up indeed. And with the Jam Printing pole position award, we're going to give that to no other than our favorite Marine, Charles Peglegs Feltz, in the P1 position, coming in with a whopping 30.9 flat. Brock Price is going to sit on his outside in P2. And then going to the next row, we got Charles Abert taking in with Jamie Lipke sitting on his outside. Jason Kristen is going to start P5 with Dave Calvert, the father, sitting on the outside as well. Going into the next row, Daniel Parks, our favorite driver, favorite sheriff, coming in P7 with Nate Cotilla starting in P8. Brandon 99 is terrible. Wallace is going to start P9 with Alan Smith making his first appearance for the season starting in P10.
Starting 11th is Mark Barcelos in the 49. 12th place coming in the 84 is Hayden Muir. 13th is Thaddeus Friel, and 14th, 18 of Colton Sisk. Starting 15th is number 80 of Kevin Price, and 16th and number 52 of Matt Weavers. 17th place, Josh Unger in the 51. 18th starting position is DJ Patterson in the 26. Starting 19th is Nick Trussell in the 022. And starting in 20th, says 118, Levi McCarty, but I think he's running the 18 tonight.
Yeah, he's running the 18. And Bill Mofield, our favorite 911, starting in 21st, with John Herman starting on his outside. And to wrap up the field, Claire Sisk is going to start in 23rd and her number 12. Well, the green flag is going to drop in a little bit, Mike. What do you got going? What's going on through your brain? Sorry for the little tongue twister right there, but this is going to be the last race for these guys in the ARCA cars before they transition into the truck. What do you think these guys are going to really go for?
Well, first off, I am surprisingly shocked that Chuck Phelps has got the pole tonight. He said he didn't turn a lap of practice. He's going to have one heck of a time up front there, but man, they must have had some pretty strong steroids in those crayons he's been eating. The fog is going to create some visibility issues tonight, and that could come into play for some of the drivers in the back if these guys up front get to battling, getting sideways. It's pretty hard to see smoke and spinning cars in this fog tonight.
Yeah, the fog really rolling in. Kind of weird how iRacing set the fog. It wasn't really requested by us for the race, but somehow iRacing decided that we're in Kentucky. We're going to have these Kentucky hills bringing some fog on track. So apologies if it's going to be difficult to see drivers on track, but that's what iRacing gave us.
I think it's going to be pretty exciting. Just another little thing for these guys to work around and a little bit of adversity. And I mean, all these guys can handle it. It's going to be some tight racing. And in the car, it doesn't look as foggy as it does for us, but there's still a little bit of visibility issues. Like I said, once the field gets kind of spread out, you'll maybe see some guys bobbing and weaving a little bit.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting to see how this goes. Chuck Phelps is going to start us out in pole position. Really great to see Chuck on the front row. And this is really what the Foundation Series is about, giving these guys who really come in week in, week out that opportunity to lead races from the front. But the pace car is going to go down into the pit road. Chuck Phelps is going to lead this field into the restart zone. His extreme scoring restart zone is on Chuck Phelps, and he is away. Chuck Phelps with a great start, but Brock Price is going to sit on his outside. And it's going to be really hard for these drivers to figure out what line they want to get into. Most drivers would prefer the bottom, but those drivers on the top are going to have a really good exit with a lot of speed, just like Jamie Lippy up there in P4.
Yeah, Brock Price in the 43 had a good run going last week, but a mistake on pit road put him towards the back. So he's going to take the advantage of being up on the front row and keep railing that outside line, try to take the lead away from the 75 of Chuck Phelps.
Yeah, and it looks like we're 4 wide coming out of 4. Nate Cotella and a few drivers really trying to figure out the spacing in between. Kentucky Speedway really offers these drivers an ability to work their cars, work these tires, but also if they really want to go fast and go after positions, just like Brock Price is right now for P1, it's going to give you that opportunity. And Jamie Lippy is going to hunt on the pounce, try to get past Chuck Phelps as well.
Yeah, and Cotilla there squeezed in right in front of, looked like Calvert. These guys making those tight moves already. You know, last week that kind of caused some chaos. So these cars are pretty even, pretty balanced. It takes a little bit to kind of spread them out. And as you see 4 wide come down the front stretch, these guys ain't getting any room.
Yeah, no room indeed. And I remember we had our ARCA season championship race for the fall here about almost a year ago. And this track went caution free, I believe. So it's really going to be important for these drivers to gain their positions as they can and then play the long game with tires if it turns out to be a green flag run for the whole race.
Yeah, I see a couple of guys coming out of turn 2, bouncing off the wall, and you're seeing 3 and 4 there slowly starting to creep up the track. So a little bit of pushing going on. As they start to spread out, they're going to have some different feeling of that steering wheel from the air as opposed to being in the pack.
Yeah, but the fact is that we're watching Nate Cotella and Jason Kirsten coming out of turn 2. Jason's going to have the run on the high side, a lot of speed, doesn't hit the wall, so he's going to definitely get the run. Nate gets down and gives the position to Jason, so great racing by those two right there as Jason takes over for P6.
Yeah, something going on there with Charles Avert. He is dropping like a rock. I don't know if maybe he got some damage from a wall hit or something, but he has fallen way off the pace, sitting back there in about 11th place. He started on the 2nd row, so maybe he's playing a little bit of a tire strategy or a fuel strategy or something, but he's definitely off the pace from the leaders.
Off the pace indeed, and speaking of off the pace, Charles Phelps, who started on pole, has fallen back to P5, but he's working his way back as Thaddeus the Impersonator Friel. He gave us permission to use the Impersonator, puts himself into P4, and he's up 9 positions right now. I think he's one of our biggest movers in the race early on in lap 5.
Yeah, starting to see a lot of the clash of the field from last week start to move their way up. Libke, Friel, Kristen, Cotilla, all were really fast last week, and they're taking advantage of some good track position to continue on for another good round this week.
Yeah, and it's definitely important because, it's, like I said, we're moving into the truck series of the portion of our schedule next week. So if you're really good at the ARCA car, I know a lot of these drivers are jockeying for position to get as many points as possible because maybe the truck isn't really their thing.
Yeah, that's the beauty of this series. One week you could be a top 10, and the next week you can be running the back of the field. So all these guys try to maximize their opportunities right now, and you see big move there down to the bottom by Thaddeus. Holy cow, he went from the top all the way down to the bottom.
Yeah, I think Thaddeus kind of made some contact on the wall, but it somehow works out for him as he's working battling with Jason Kristen. I think Jason was behind and Thaddeus was up front. I don't really know, but they're going side by side across the line. Kristen's going to have that across the line, but he's going to have the high side. Thaddeus is going to have the low side. Realistically, Kristen should have the run out of 2, but this is a great battle between 2 cars right now.
Very close on exit, almost touch coming out, and then Kristen almost clips the wall, but he stays clean and keeps that run to the outside. Looks like he can have just a bit of advantage coming into turn 4 on Thaddeus, and Thaddeus is going to have a nice run on the bottom, slide in right behind him, it looks like.
Yeah, slide indeed. That high side really working out right now for Jason Kristen. I think the low side is what he took coming into turn 3. And realistically, if these drivers can put their tires right on that patch, right there, we saw Brandon Wallace coming through out of turn 2, that gives you the most grip for this car to get through the corner without really abusing your tires.
Yeah, this is one of those unique tracks where you can really make up a lot of time on the top, but it is going to be a little bit harder on the tires. So if you can try and stay down where the grip is, you're going to have a little bit better run towards the end of the fuel stage. So see the big mover here is Levi McCarty coming through the pack.
Yeah, Levi McCarty coming through the pack, and it looks like we've broken out into 2 separate groups, one led by Brock Price, our leader, and then Joshua Unger leading the second group with Levi McCarty, last week's winner at Auto Club, really just taking his time trying to get through the field, knowing that it's a 7-lap race with the experience that Levi McCarty has. I'm sure he's not really waiting to get it to the front as soon as possible, but really just making sure his tires are there to push through once everybody else's tires start to fall off.
Yeah, and these two here, Kristen and Friel, are still going at it. Every corner, Thaddeus is showing a nose, but he just cannot get enough run to get around that 0-2 of Jason Kristen.
Yeah, and you see Daniel Parks hit the wall a little bit as well, so it looks like these drivers are starting to feel the effects of the track chewing up their tires. I think right now the best thing for Thaddeus is if you can't get past Kristen right now, just play the long game, wait it out to the pit stops, and then get past if you can there. This track is really a one-groove track with older tires. Everybody's going to feed through the bottom. We have a huge battle, almost 3 wide. We got Nate Cotilla, Chuck Belt, and our newcomer for the week, Alan Smith. He's going to make that high side work for him, and he's going to run that high side. Chuck Felt's really trying to hold that position on the bottom. He's going to have the advantage going into turn 3. They both send it in there. It looks like Alan's going to have a huge advantage going out, but Chuck is going to drive that car through and take... Oh, they're going side by side across the line. It's a close battle between these two right now.
Yeah, it looked like Alan got a little bit tight through the middle of the corner and had to just breathe it a little bit, lost some time, but he gained that all back on that outside run. Looks like he's going to have enough here to clear him. And right behind him, Nick Cotilla is right on the outside of Chuck, and Chuck is just hanging on right now, trying to get through this session here.
Yeah, I mean, running the high side is a great advantage for a couple laps, but if you keep running like Nate is all the way to the wall, those tires are going to get chewed up real quick. I know if you're running the next gen around this track, running that high side is a no-go for these drivers, but the ARCA car allows these cars to go. But you got Jason Kristen
up at top 3.
Top 3, Jason Kristen running that high side again. Jason's making that high side work as I talk trash about it. He's working that high side. Daniel Parks is kind of falling back after that huge start he had. We're going to watch through into turn 3 and into turn 4. Jason Kristen has the advantage, but Daniel Parks is going to have the better exit coming out. Thaddeus, the impersonator, is going to put his nose in there if he can. Who's he going to work with? Looks like Jason Kristen's going to be his target for right now. Looks like they're going to get past Daniel Parks going into turn 1.
Yeah, he thought about pushing it in there for 3 wide, but decided to play a little bit conservative. and follow Kristen through. And probably the better choice there because Jason's got something picked up here, and he's closing up on the top 2 right now. Oh,
Yeah,
Jamie
now
just
we're
passed for the lead.
Yeah, as we were talking, Jamie made a pass for the lead, and Jamie Lookie, one of our better drivers, overall drivers through all cars, starting to make her showing in this series right now. I believe she was here last week and didn't really have a good finish to it, unfortunately. Looking to make some impact this week and get some points on the board.
Yeah, she had kind of a rough week last week, but actually starting to pull a little bit of a gap right now. So whatever her and Jason have figured out, they are teammates, correct? They've got this thing dialed in, and they're really starting to pull through on the longer tire runs here. So a little bit of a save on tires, or they've just got something figured out on their line that's giving them a little bit more speed.
Yeah, definitely. It looks like they worked out something this week. Both of these drivers, Jason Chris and Jamie Lookie, as teammates, they're not unfamiliar to this track right here. And it looks like they're working themselves up to having a 1-2 right now for both teammates.
Yeah, Kristen is looking to the inside right now of Brock Price. Brock goes down to the bottom and blocks his run. That's going to open the door for Thaddeus to come up on the outside. Not quite enough, and Jason's going to slot it back in line there.
Yeah, it looks like Brock Price coming over the radio, letting these drivers know that, hey, you guys are a little bit faster. I'm going to go on the high side, and you guys can go on the low side if you want, and that's exactly what happens. So it looks like Brock is going to cede that position, but I think running on that high side might give an advantage against Jason Christen, and it does. So they're side by side. Let's see if he's going to give it up again, and he does. So it looks like Brock Price is bowing out of this battle, going to play the long game on his tires, and let Jason and Thaddeus do to chase down Jamie Lipke.
Yeah, Thaddeus has ran that line right above the right rear fender of Jason Christen just about every lap. And if he's looking in his rearview mirror, that's going to have to start getting in your head just a little bit. He cannot start pushing up, otherwise they might make contact and end this great run that he's got.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really loving Thaddeus' patience right now. Even though he's not the fastest car on track by the numbers right now, they're pretty even between the top three.
Almost caught the bumper there. He went just a little bit lower than Kristen, and he just kept coming down, so he had to back out a little bit. That was super close.
Yeah, these drivers are doing really great right now, keeping green flag conditions. It would be a shame if a yellow were to come out right about now.
Yeah, just crossing over 20 laps. Not quite sure what the fuel run is, but these guys are just still going at it. Brock Price coming back on Thaddeus Friel here, so he's let him go by, but he has not lost any amount of time to these two, and he's going back underneath Kristen here.
Yeah, it looks like Thaddeus with that pressure pushes Jason up high. Jason's going to hit the wall on the exit, so it's going to give Thaddeus P2. Brock Price is re-engaging in this battle right now. You know, for really bad conditions to be watching if you're in the stands, the driving right now has been great between the top five.
Yeah, these three here are swapping back and forth positions, and don't look too far back behind here, but this group of four is starting to close in as they swap back and forth just about every lap. You got Daniel Parks on the outside, Smith on the outside, Patillo on the inside in the second row, and Brandon Wallace looks like he's making a move to the inside as Smith hits the wall.
Ooh. You know what? I'm going to compliment you right now. The way that you transitioned that, we've been doing this for, I don't know, about a few months now with the commentating. That was a pro commentating transition for me right there. I got to give you props for that.
Hey. Oh,
uh-oh.
We may have some connection issues here with our leader.
Jamie's back, but yeah, I think she blinked out just a little bit, and that would be bad news for her. I know she wants to get a win. She wants to put that 16 car in victory lane. So it looks like she's good, but Brandon Wallace and Daniel Parks going at it once again. The 99 is not terrible right now, and he's pushing through the field. I think he's up 2 positions from where he started, while Daniel Parks is starting to fall back a little bit. I think he went up all the way up to P3, and now he's falling back to P7 if this pass is completed by Wallace.
Yeah, these four right here are just putting on a masterclass. They have been within feet of each other lap after lap after lap, and nobody has made contact or spun each other, showing a lot of respect and a lot of trust in each other as they go around this track side by side, 2 by 2.
Yeah, we're looking at our pole winner, Chuck Phelps. He's fallen and settled in P9. And last week's winner, Levi McCarty, up 10 positions from where he started. He's going to be challenging Phelps for that position. Looks like Phelps is not going to give up without a fight, and I don't expect the Marine not to fight for anything that he's given. Levi McCarty's going to push it down there. Chuck goes a little high, so not really a great entrance for Chuck. Levi in the bottom going to have the better exit. We're going to go side by side into the straightaway, across the start finish line. I think Levi is going to get it at the line, but it's going to be a battle continuing on from here.
Yeah, unfortunately for Chuck, he didn't have a lot of practice here, and this is one of those tracks where you really do need a lot of practice, especially for a tire run. But he can't be upset with this run. He is hanging with some pretty fast drivers, and he is looking like he wants to go back after McCarthy as they both go side by side into turn 3, almost touch. And finally, McCarthy gets a little bit of a gap and some breathing room, but Chuck comes right back on him on the exit.
Yeah, I don't expect Chuck to give up without a fight, and he definitely is putting up a fight right now. And then right behind, I believe Kevin Price is lurking right behind them, hopefully trying to get something out of it. Like I'm hearing over the radio, Chuck is giving his props to Levi. It was a great fight, but he just can't keep going for it. So big props to Chuck Phelps right now, really, with that fight. But Kevin Price is going to go after Chuck right now. The 26, I don't know who the 26 is right now, moving out the way. I think he's lap traffic. So DJ Patterson, I think he's lap traffic, moving out of the way.
Yeah, that's DJ Patterson. He's one of our newer drivers, and he's learning these cars, and sounds like he called out. He's got his feedback up a little bit too high, so he's probably getting a little bit of arm pump. Anybody that raced motocross knows what arm pump is. That is not fun, I can tell you, when your forearms are burning and that steering wheel's shaking in your hands, and it's hard to hold on because those things are pretty powerful.
Yeah, pretty powerful indeed. I have my stuff coming in a little bit soon. Hopefully, when those come in, I think mine is 25 Newton meters. So hopefully, I don't get too much of an arm workout right there. But I'm definitely not going to set it that high up.
Turn it up to 100 and let it eat.
Yeah, no, we're not doing that. Well, we got Alan Smith chasing. He's putting in a workout right now, going after Brandon Wallace. And Alan Smith, even though he missed the week, definitely putting in a fight. Jason Kristen and Thaddeus Friel have somehow caught up to Lipke. So this battle's going on. I know Kristen is going to want to get past Thaddeus to block for his teammate, or at least go for the win. But it's definitely an advantage for Lipke and Kristen, two teammates working against one person right now against Thaddeus Friel.
Yeah, we've been watching all these battles throughout the field. We missed Wallace getting around Smith, and Friel almost had Kristen for, let's see, we're at lap 29, probably the 25th time that he's almost had Jason Kristen. He's followed him all the way through this field, all the way to the front, and he is not giving up one bit.
Yeah, I mean, really great job by Kristen getting that pass done. So advantage again to Lipke and Kristen, two teammates that can work together. And I know you were asking about pit stops. What's the fuel run? I believe the fuel run is going to be 34 to 35 laps. So we're getting close to pit stops right now. And for these two teammates, they can work together and try to figure out a way. But Thaddeus throws it right in the inside, gives a little look to Kristen. So the battle's not over yet. Kristen's not fully away. And I know Thaddeus is going to want to get past, or at least work his way to a position where he could work past these two cars through the pit stops.
Yeah, we got somebody coming out of the pits there, maybe an unplanned pit stop, but yeah, eventually these guys are going to be coming down pit road, probably 4 to 5 laps. It'd be interesting to see if anybody tries to go a little bit long. They're running about 32 flats right now, so about a second off the qualifying time, I believe. So not a whole bunch of fall off. So if you can run it a little bit longer and keep your track position, again, we had a lot of mistakes during the pit stops last week with some speeding or getting onto pit road. A little bit easier pit road this week, but still, you can lose 2 or 3 seconds just with the little bobble coming in or little bobble getting out on the warm-up lane. So got one stopping right now. Looks like Daniel Parks has made his stop.
Yeah, Daniel Parks is making his stop. I think he's learned his lesson from that championship race back in the fall. He pitted a little bit later than everybody else and had to suffer from it after the fact when everybody was getting past. So I'm sure he's thinking about that, and he's going to get his pit stop right out the way and try to gain some positions back on the track while everybody else stays out.
Yeah, it looks a little bit difficult to pass. We've seen it on the very top side of the track, but maybe the undercut will work tonight, because if you can get through the traffic through the outside while everybody's running the bottom on faster tires, you might be able to pick up a little bit of time.
Yeah, and I'm hearing over comms right now, Brandon Wallace and Alan Smith are going to come in this lap. And yes, they do. Both cars into the pit lane. So a couple cars out of the top 10, P5 and P6, head into the pit lane. Jamie Lipke, Jason Kristen, and Thaddeus Friel continue on. So it sounds like the fuel run is going to be around 34, 35 laps. It's going to be interesting to see what other cars come in, and I'm hearing Jason Kristen as well is now going to come into the pits. So P2 looking to come into the pits right now, while the teammate Jamie Lipke continues on, and Thaddeus Friel is going to gain that position, or he might come in and run the same battle. He's not. So Thaddeus Friel takes over P2 while Jamie Lipke stays in P1, and Levi McCarty, the ghost of Levi McCarty, is here, folks. He's into the top 3 now.
I was just getting ready to say Jamie is still running around in the lead, but McCarty is only 1.3 seconds behind and closing fast. So he's got some long run speed. He's going to try and run them down before the pit stops.
Yeah, other people in the field are going to come in and check it through the timing sheets right now. Levi McCarty is running about 5/10. So it looks like Levi and Thaddeus going in.
Oh, big move down to the bottom.
Huge move. Exactly. Oh, I'm hearing overcomes right now that Jamie Lipke did receive a black flag for pit road speeding entrance. And if you're not familiar with the new iRacing update, they have now updated pit road speeds for all oval series. And it's a lot more stricter now. You can't really get that buffer that you used to. So I'm expecting to see a lot of drivers struggle with keeping their speed on pit road.
Yeah, that really sucks for Jamie. You know, if she didn't have bad luck, she wouldn't have any at all at this point, because it seems like every race, just one little thing puts her from the top 3 to all the way in the back, having to fight her way back through again. So really unfortunate for her. It takes out one of the faster cars of the race tonight.
Yeah, definitely. Really sad to see that situation happen, but we grow and we learn from these situations. So I think it's going to roll out that Jason Kristen is going to be our leader, but doesn't have that help of a teammate to protect against Thaddeus Friel, as we see Kristen getting past one of our favorite in-house drivers, Nick Trussell. He's working his way, going through. And I'm hearing that DJ Patterson, Chuck Phelps also receiving black flags for speeding on pit lane or exiting on pit lane. So looks like a couple more drivers struggling with this new update through iRacing. But like I said, Kristen going to have the lead coming through this pit cycle run.
Yeah, and he's got about 5 seconds over McCarty, so he made up a lot of time somewhere. And yeah, when you have somebody like McCarty and Kristen and Cotillas even showed a lot of speed, you have them out front, you cannot make these mistakes that they're making. So kind of uncharacteristic to see this many black flags, but yeah, maybe that new update is really biting some people.
Yeah, definitely. But we see Levi McCarty battling with Thaddeus Friel right now and Brock Price. So Brock Price has some fresh tires, so he's going to be able to fight. And they're side by side into the wall.
Oh man, they couldn't have got any closer than that. And Daniel Parks right behind him.
All the right
down. Way down to the bottom. Holy cow, we got a 4-way battle for, what is it, fourth, fifth, and sixth place here.
Yeah, fourth through 7th right now, battling it out. Thaddeus Friel is able to keep Levi McCarty behind. But I just want to point out that Alan Smith somehow and Brandon Wallace have somehow taken over between Friel and McCarty. And looking at the timing sheets, they pitted 2 laps before Friel and McCarty. So big moves by the 99 and the 00. And I believe they are teammates as well. So we have another teammate pair up in the top 3 chasing down Jason Kristen right now.
Yeah, that undercut really showing out tonight. The only problem with that is McCarty was one of the fastest cars on track in that first run. So he's got 5.5 seconds to make up. If anybody can do it, we all know that he can. We know the speed that he has, and he's a multi-time winner through this league. So he's right on the back of Thaddeus Friel right now, and Brock Price is going to go down to the bottom. So he's got a lot of traffic to get through. He won't be as easy as it was coming up through the field. Definitely not going to be single file. We'll let him go through right now.
Yeah, I think the biggest question running through my mind right now is, so the drivers ran to about 35 was the max, but we saw between 31 through 35 drivers getting into pit road. We have 70 laps in this race, Mike. Do some of these drivers have enough fuel to make it to the end with only a 34 lap tank?
Yeah, I don't have enough fingers and toes to count that high, but even I can figure out that might not be enough. So that could be interesting. Maybe they're banking on a caution, but like you've said before, if your strategy is a caution, it's probably not a very good one.
Yeah, looking at the scoreboard, I think the best drivers in this position, as we see Brock Price really putting his nose to Levi McCarty, he's really trying to get Levi McCarty a little stumbled, and they're going to go side by side. But no, Levi closes that off. Nick Trussell goes to the high side to let these drivers through as they battle it out. Thaddeus Friel, Levi McCarty, Brock Price going through. And as I was going to say, these three drivers that I just mentioned are in the best position fuel-wise. They pitted either lap 34 or lap 35. So technically, if they do a little bit of saving, they can make it to lap 70 and that final lap and finish out the race without another pit stop.
Yeah, and Brock Price is really packing the air onto Levi McCarty here through 3 and 4 as he goes down low. McCarty goes up a little bit higher than he has been, trying to get some air on the nose there behind Thaddeus, but very, very close racing, and you get air packed under that rear spoiler just enough, and it'll spin you around. So you got a close battle. Second place falling back. Oh, 2x2. They're very slow.
Whoa.
Something is wrong with Alan Smith here.
Yeah, something's definitely wrong with Alan Smith. I don't know what happened, but he's really off the pace right now. Not sure if he hit the wall, but nothing coming through comms right now saying that he's pitting or anything. So Alan Smith, who was in a comfortable third place, has now fallen back all the way down to P6, and he's still off the pace right now. So I'm wondering what's going on with
our door banging here.
Oh, they're
Brock
bumping
not,
3 wide. Brock wants to get down, and he's not gonna get it. Levi keeps his car in there. I'm sorry, Mike, but you got the call right here.
Oh man, Brock was not gonna give Levi an inch of room, and Levi was gonna box his way all the way up the track if he could, beating and banging out of turn 4 all the way down the front stretch. Somehow they make it out of there, and somehow Levi stays ahead of Brock Price. Levi back down to the bottom again, cross start finish line, looking for a crossover. Brock goes up high, he's gonna dive it down to the inside, gets a nose in on the rear fender there. Thaddeus gets a little bit of loose, pushes up slightly in front of McCarthy. That's going to let Brock come up. Now he's going to slide right in behind, try it all over again, and he is right up behind that rear fender again. Now pushing Levi right to the outside of Thaddeus Friel. So great back and forth racing here. These two are swapping high, low. Down to the bottom onto the apron goes Levi under Thaddeus, and he's got the inside. Thaddeus might have to give this position up. Going to look to rail the outside very close again, pinching him down there. As they come out of turn 2, Thaddeus is going to keep the position.
Yeah, Thaddeus is going to run that high side. Levi knows that the bottom is the best place to be. He runs it down into that black strip right there. And like I said, if you can get the tires on that black strip, you're going to have better rotation out of the corner. Thaddeus hits the wall. Almost takes Levi McCarty out, but he's going to slot right back in. Brock Price, with a better exit, is going to try to challenge for that position, but he falls back. He's going to run high. He might have a better exit than Thaddeus, but I think Thaddeus, after that little bump, he got a shot of Red Bull. He's awake now, but Brock Price and Thaddeus are going to battle it out by Levi McCarty saying, "See ya, I'm out of here," but Thaddeus is not giving up this position yet.
Yeah, Brock pushes Thaddeus all the way down the backstretch, gives him a huge shove into the corner. Thaddeus got a little bit tight, might have lost a little bit of space, but you notice when that green and white 18 gets in their rear view, the intensity goes way up. Brock was racing much harder than we saw him racing the first stint, and Thaddeus had some Ross Chastain syndrome there, just throwing blocks left and right until McCarty could finally get around him. But McCarty is probably the guy to beat in this series, so they all know it. They're all pushing, and they're all making it difficult for him.
Yeah, a lot going on. And with all this battling going on, the one person that's loving it, especially with Levi McCarty caught up in it, is Jason Kristen. Jason doesn't really have to run that hard. I'm sure he's running some fuel saving strats now, knowing that he pitted on lap 34. So he is in a position to make it to the end. But with that fuel saving and that battle happening right there, no car really behind to give him some trouble, he's in prime position to take this win, I think.
Yeah, and McCarty was 5.5 seconds back. He's about 5.5 seconds back at that pit stop. He's got it down to 3 seconds now, so he is closing. But yeah, if Jason is just out front cruising, not pushing his stuff, Obviously, McCarty is pushing hard to get around and away from Thaddeus. Could be a little bit more aggressive than he wants to be, but yeah, Kristen's in the driver's seat right now, just putting in laps.
Yeah, and looking through the field, I'm hearing drivers starting to clutch while they're going through corners. I heard Charles Aber starting to clutch through corners. I haven't checked on Jason Kristen, but with Brandon Wallace, Jason Kristen in kind of a really good spot. McCarty and Friel are really pushing it. Looking at the lap times right now, I don't know if maybe they're good to they don't have to save, and that's why they're pushing. But I think fuel strategy, if the green flag run continues, is going to come into play, and maybe a driver that's deep in the back of the top 10 might have enough fuel to beat out the rest of the drivers who end up having to pit.
Yeah, that's another wall tap from McCarty, so he is definitely pushing, using all of the racetrack. Got to be careful though. You don't want to smack that wall too hard.
Yeah, I just did some numbers in the background. If you did pit on lap 35, the amount of gallons you need to save is about half a lap. So for somebody like Levi McCarty, that's just a couple lifts and coast through the corners for a couple laps, maybe 4 or 5, and then he's good. He has enough fuel to the end of the race. He can run a consistent time after that. For somebody like Brandon Wallace who pit on lap 33, that's a little bit more than like 7, 8 laps. That's a little bit harder for somebody who's in second place trying to keep that podium position, while somebody like Levi McCarty is pushing a little bit harder, who doesn't have to save as much as he does.
Yeah, and we're coming up. This next time by is going to be 15 laps to go. McCarty's got it down under 2 seconds to 1.7, but Wallace, he's kind of leveled out a little bit there. He's kind of that 1.2, 1.3 range, so maybe Wallace is doing a little bit of saving. He's going to have to look in his mirror, though, because there's a very fast, very white car barreling down on him right now down the front stretch.
Yeah, so looking through the field, it's Kristen Wallace, McCarty, Friel, Price, your top 5 as McCarty and Wallace battle for that P2 position. Alan Smith, a little bit of a trouble earlier, about 10 laps ago. He settled out in P6, while Daniel Parks had that early pit stop. He probably will have to pit unless he's been clutching through the corners again in P7. Was that Brock Price? No, Kevin Price. I'm sorry, Kevin Price in P8. Nate Cotilla settling in P9. And Charles Aber settling in P10.
Yeah, another good race for Kevin Price. He had a good run last week too. I think he might have got caught up in a wreck, but showing a lot of speed. Again, yeah. Another thing good from last week is that Brandon Wallace is on the track after his enormous spin cycle wreck. 14 flips down the front stretch. He got plenty of jello in the hospital, and it looks like he's good to go tonight.
Yeah, we're glad to see Brandon back after that crazy wash cycle crash that he had. But I'm looking at, I think he's the nephew, Brock Price, is settling in that battle between Thaddeus Friel for P4. And as we've been talking, Wallace and McCarty, they're pushing, and they have now dropped the lead under a second with about 13 to go. About to be 13 to go now for this field, and they're rapidly catching Jason Kristen right now.
Yeah, they definitely picked up the pace, and if Jason hasn't noticed yet, he should probably start doing that here pretty quick, because they are coming fast. About a second, almost a second caught up in those last 2 laps since we talked about them last. So they are on the move, and they are hunting him down, and they are there.
Yeah, they're running about 0.2 faster than Jason Kristen right now. So I don't know if Jason is struggling with tires or maybe just holding off a little bit because of fuel. But it looks like Brandon and Levi have no concerns, especially with Brandon, who was pit on lap 33. I'm hearing drivers are pitting right now. So some drivers do not have enough fuel to make it to the end. As we have Brandon Wallace on the outside, he's making that move for P1. He doesn't care about fuel. He has the run going into the backstretch. Huge speed into turn 3 for Brandon Wallace, makes that move click, and Levi McCarty sitting on the outside as well. Jason Kristen's not going to give it up without a fight, but Levi McCarty sitting right there, and it looks like Brandon Wallace and Levi McCarty are going to make the move for P1 and P2.
Yeah, Jason really needed to take advantage of that gap that he had there in between him and McCarty. Leaves the door open, and McCarty's just going to sail right around him. So Brandon did pit 1 lap sooner than Jason Kristen, so if Jason's short on fuel and saving, that's why he's losing time, I think Brandon might be in trouble. But now you see Kristen starting to come back on McCarty here. So, man, these next 10 laps are gonna be very interesting to see how this all plays out, because now they're starting to pick up the intensity, and directly behind him is that Friel there, or is that the 022?
That's
the
Friel and
022.
Price. Yeah, 022, Nick Trussell, lap traffic getting out of the way. But Levi McCarty heads to the
Big move to the
lead.
top.
It looks like a little switchback challenge happened right there. And it looks like Levi McCarty made it stick as Brandon Wallace is trying to fight back for that position right there. And it looks like the battle for the top positions has kind of shook itself out. And both drivers hit the wall. Oh!
Wow, I thought they were both going to go sliding off into pit lane, but that was a huge hit for Brandon.
Yeah, huge hit indeed. And I wouldn't be surprised if both drivers got wheel damage out of that. That was huge hits by them. But Jason Kristen was able to get by Brandon Wallace. It looks like Brandon Wallace is reloading for another battle between Jason Kristen. Is he going to take the high side? Is he going to take the low side? It looks like both drivers going low into turn 3, but it's going to harm Brandon Wallace a little bit more. He's probably going to be tight through the corner. He's going to have to watch out not to hit that wall again. Looks like he does great. And it looks like Thaddeus, nope, I take that back. That is Nick Trussell behind. So I was thinking that was going to be a 3-way battle for a second, but nope, we're standing at a 2-way battle between Jason Kristen and Brandon Wallace. And it looks like the hit to the wall didn't really affect both drivers.
Yeah, Trussell pit on lap 50, so he's going to be a little bit quicker than these guys, but it does look like there's a little bit of damage on that right front and maybe towards the hood there by that light on Brandon Wallace's car. So he is going to have to deal with that. It's going to affect his car, and you can see here he's looks tight, but he makes it down to the bottom, almost tries to go to the inside down the front stretch, but Jason has that run to keep him out front. Now he's going to look to the outside.
Yeah, and if he does have damage, his car is going to be a lot more tighter than he wants it to through the corners, especially 3 and 4. And he hits the wall again. So yeah, he's tight. I think that car is real tight right here. So if he's able to hold on to this P3 position, and it looks like right now, as Thaddeus Friel is 5 seconds behind, it's going to be a really good hard-fought battle between all 3 drivers right here. But we're coming with 6 to go. We're getting to crunch time with the fuel. If these drivers have enough fuel, then we have no concerns. But if they do, we might see some heartbreak here tonight.
Yeah, the track temperature is climbing up, so you see these guys pushing. That's going to help a little bit, kind of loosen it up. It's going to wear him out a little bit more. So, Brandon having that damage, he's going to have to put a little bit more wheel into it. You can see he's just struggling to keep. He can keep up, but getting up to the outside, he just doesn't have the run like he did before. But they are staying close enough, and Jason might just be trying to get to the back bumper of Levi to make a late lap or last lap move here on him. But as I say that, McCarty starts to pull out just a little bit.
Yeah, last lap, McCarty was 1/10 faster than Brandon Wallace and Jason Kristen. So there is some speed left in those tires. I'm hearing the 71 of Daniel Parks is spinning at Brandon Wallace. Brandon Wallace peels off. He doesn't have enough speed. Almost messes up into pit road entrance. So fuel starting to make its dirty head into these drivers. Thaddeus Friel is now moving into P3. If Thaddeus has enough fuel and Thaddeus pit on lap 35, he might be like McCarty, saved enough and he's ready to go. Jason Kristen is the next person on my mind if he has enough. Or does Alan Smith have enough, who also pitted with Brandon Wallace? A lot of these drivers are going to struggle with fuel, going to have to do a little fill and dash in the pits.
Yeah, Brandon pit on lap 33, which is a little bit uncharacteristic for Brandon. Usually he's the guy that goes long, but Jason Kristen on lap 34. So if Jason was saving that whole first part of the run, that's why he was bleeding so much time, he should be okay. As far as, big hit from, was that the 022 again? Big hit off the wall.
Yeah, that was Nick Trussell right there.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how much he's saved, if he's got enough left in the tank to go after him. He's still there. He's within, tenth of a second?
Yeah, about 3/10.
3/10.
I'm looking through these cams right now, and I don't see Levi clutching, and I don't see Jason clutching. So these drivers definitely have some fuel left in the tank. It's going to be a big battle between both drivers. So Levi, with his fuel advantage, he's going to be able to probably pull away, while Jason Kristen If he has the
Yeah,
tires, he's gonna go
looks
for
like
it. But
he's
Levi has it.
starting to fall off here. Maybe he's getting close. You can see he's starting to bleed off some time. But we have some people coming in and off of pit lane here. So hopefully everybody stays out of the way. We don't get anything in the way of these two. You can see the two cars up ahead of them are quite a ways away. I don't think there'll be an issue as we come to the checkered flag in 3 and 4.
Yeah, coming to the checkered flag with the white flag presented by Glove Station with Levi McCarty starting all the way in P20 with a dominant performance by him getting through the field, and he's going to cross the start finish for another win in the Foundation Series. Jason Kristen coming with enough fuel to finish out in P2, and it looks like Thaddeus Friel is going to come out with that last position again. So another P3 for Thaddeus the Impersonator Friel, and honestly, great battle between these three drivers. We saw a lot of fuel strategy coming through, a lot of different strategies done by these drivers. But I think the biggest thing, we had a green flag race throughout this whole thing. So shout out to all the drivers on track. For a difficult track, that is an amazing achievement.
Yeah, 2 for 2 for Levi, and that race just flew by.
Yeah, flew by, definitely indeed. But Levi McCarty, he worked his way through the field, had some luck with some drivers like Jamie Lipke getting a black flag on pit road during the green flag pit stops. And unfortunately for the crowd, the fog might black out some of the smoke that he's going to put down. But great win by Levi McCarty. We're going to have him and the rest of the top three for interviews after this break.
Superior quality, ultimate protection, and the highest level of craftsmanship. We make our gloves for the hard worker that wakes up every morning and gives 110%. You deserve the highest quality protective gear that's going to work for you, day in, day out. We know it can be tough deciding what companies to trust for your hard-earned money. It's all in our name. We've mastered our craft to help you master yours. We make our gloves rugged, durable, and designed for you. Whatever the job is, we have you covered. We are your Glove Station.
A thriving job market and low cost of living, plus a wide range of veteran benefits, make Indiana the perfect place for veterans of the United States military to call home. InVets can help you find that home. We're an organization started by veterans to help former service members transition to civilian life in our state. InVets can help you find the community with the career opportunities, housing, schools, and amenities that fit your lifestyle. To learn more about InVets, visit us at invets.org today.
Well, I'm looking at a clear Kentucky Speedway, which is not what these drivers had to deal with tonight. They had the conditions, and they also had green flag racing with fuel strategy to deal with. But Mike, that was a great run by these guys as we look at the final order for this race. Levi McCarty starting in P20, makes his way through the field, and great pit strategy that puts him in P1. Jason Kristen starting in P5, had the lead for a little bit, but ends up in P2, so great run by him. Thaddeus Friel, the Impersonator, starting in 13th, it gets a P3, another P3 for the Impersonator. Great job by him. Alan Smith, our first time appearance this week, P4 for him, so great job for that recovery that he had. Nate Cotilla started 8th and finished P5. I think that's a solid job by any driver. Charles Abert, our AM ARCA champion, finishes in P6 after starting in P3. Brock Price, P2, but ends up in P7. Kevin Price, I think that's the uncle, starts in 15th and finishes 8th. Dave Calvert, the father, finishes in P9, and Bill Molefield, our favorite 911 driver, starts in 21st, but finishes in P10, so great job to him.
Yeah, great job for Bill, getting another top 10. 11th place, the 84 of Muir in 12th place. The 99, Brandon Wallace after that late pit stop. Jamie Lipke finishes 13th after the initial pit, black flag. Tough night for her, hate to see it. And 14th place, the number 71, Daniel Parks. 15th place, the 67 of Herman, starting in 22nd. Made his way up a few positions. Good to see. Chuck Feld started on the pole, had a little bit of a rough night. Said he didn't have any practice. It kind of showed there. He's struggling towards the end, but comes home with 16th place. 17th is number 18 of, is it Colton Sisk, I believe? Claire. Yeah, Claire.
Claire, you're right.
Yeah, there's so many family members in here, I get them mixed up. So 18th, the number 49 of Barcelos, 19th, the number 52 of Weavers, and 20th place finish tonight for DJ Patterson.
Dave Patterson's going to finish it out in 20th, like you said. And looking at the back half of the field, Nick Trussell started in 19th, but finishes at P21. But great to see him on track as always. Joshua Unger, always great to see him racing with us, finishing in P22. And Claire Sisk finishing out, started 23rd and finishing out in P23, unfortunately. So, but great racing to all these drivers.
I got the Sisk right for once.
Yeah, you did. You did. Well, I think we're going to go to interviews. So I'm going to bring up Levi McCarty into the booth. Levi, you got Mike and Sam in the booth. Can you hear us?
Yeah. Hey, guys.
Hey, so, I mean, hey, you worked your way through this field. Kentucky is a difficult track to race. Tires get shredded. Conditions wasn't really great for you guys as well with visibility. So walk us through what you were thinking and that pit strategy that you did.
Yeah. Well, the fuel was so tight, you had to run it as far as you possibly could. There were a lot of people that were short there at the end, so pretty simple from that aspect, just having to go as far as you possibly can. But you had I thought it had to do with the update that like my settings were messed up, but it was really tough to see, like really foggy, and then there was like a weird glare on the windshield, and then on these ARCA cars the banner comes halfway down the windshield anyway, so it was challenging.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, we didn't expect fog to be here. Conditions were set to be almost identical to last week, but it looks like iRacing decided that fog is going to roll in. Maybe it's because we're in Kentucky, but I mean, great race by you. I don't know if there's anything else you could have done better, but is there anything you could have done better?
It would have been nice to run a couple of practice laps. Like I got in here and my force feedback was just all out of whack, and I'm beat. That was the highest I've had it turned up in a while, and I finally got it right about halfway through. Well, I would say a quarter way through the race there, and was able to start making up some time. But it was fun. Fun to have a caution-free race. Quick one, so I'm sure you guys are happy with that. But yeah, great battling with a couple of guys there. Thaddeus, Jason Christian there at the end, Brandon Wallace. Really fun. Just Rock Price too. It was fun battling with those guys, and I'm seeing some improvement.
Yeah, and I mean, that's really what the series is about, is a lot of improvement, working with these guys, helping them get better. But the biggest point is having fun. But I'm glad to hear that from you. But anyways, with that P1 finish, anybody that you want to thank?
Yeah, thanks for putting on the broadcast and taking the time to run a series that is dedicated to helping people learn and everything. And had a lot of fun and appreciate everything GLR does. And yeah, happy to bring home another foundation, or yeah, another win. And I don't know where we're going next. Is it trucks?
Yeah, we're into the trucks. I think that's one of your favorites. So yeah, we're in the trucks.
I don't think you got a lot of experience in the trucks, do you?
No, I think I'll put in some practice and get sharpened up for the truck race.
That's awesome. Well, Levi McCarty, our winner tonight. Glad to have you out here, man. We'll see you next week.
Thank you. Appreciate all you guys do.
Yeah, no problem. Well, I think you're going to have the P2, so Mike, take it away.
Mr. Jason Kristen. It's Mike and Sam in the booth. You got us?
Yep, I got you.
All right, buddy. Great race tonight. You had a lot of speed. You were up front all night. Kind of go through your race and tell us how that you came out 5.5 seconds ahead of Levi on that pit stop. Were you staving quite a bit, and that's what let him catch you so quick?
Yeah, I pitted a lap sooner than Levi, so it's funny. Like a lap or two after I got out of the pits, I was looking at my fuel calculator, and I saw where I was a lap and a half short. So I had to really go into fuel saving mode there, and luckily that helped me save tires. But by the time I saved enough fuel, I just couldn't get back up to the back end of Levi.
Yeah, that's kind of how it looked like from us. You were super strong tonight. A lot of really close racing between the top guys. How did it look from your end? Levi said with the fog he had some vision issues. Was it Was it as bad for you as it was for him?
Not really. I mean, there was some annoying glare in the windshield from, I guess, the fog and how the light reflected or whatever, but the view really wasn't too bad, especially when I got out front by myself. Like that clear air in front of me was really nice for a while, and then Brandon and Levi decided to come up and mess with that. But either way, it was a hell of a race. I still feel kind of bad for Jamie though. Like she was going to dominate too, and got that speeding penalty, and that really sucks.
Yeah, everything looks and feels better when you're out front and there's nobody in front of you. So I feel you on that one. Anybody you got to thank tonight?
Oh yeah, big time. Got to thank Lincoln Tech for helping sponsor this series. It's been a blast so far, and I can't wait to see where it goes from here. Jam Printing and Promotions, V Speed, Alexander PCs, Cruising Classics, GTR Simulators, and then my personal sponsors, Pappy's Pet Lodge, Signature Signs and Graphics, and Ghost Energy.
Well, it's great to have you tonight. Great job. Awesome finish. I just have one more question for you. We're moving to trucks next week. Are you going to run the bright green Ram, or are you going to run the Bell South Ram?
Oh, I hadn't really thought of that. I might bring the Bell South one back for one race. We'll see how it goes.
There you go. I'll make sure Skylar puts you on broadcast plenty if you got that paint scheme off. That's one of my favorites.
Yes.
All right, man. Well, we appreciate you. Thanks for coming out, and great job.
All right, take care.
Well, I'm actually excited to see that Bell South paint scheme. I think that's one of my favorite ones as well. But we're going to bring in our final person, MP3. Again, he likes the number 3. Thaddeus, the impersonator for real. Talk us through that race, man. You had some fuel strategy going. You had a lot of tough battles between the top 5. What did you think? What did you like?
Well, first of all, I personally love this track. Like Kentucky, unfortunately for the logistics of the track, like they shut it down, but very fun track to drive. The way it was described to me by a good friend was it's backwards Texas, essentially, is how you drive it. So yeah, the fuel strategy came into play. I wasn't expecting, I thought we were going to make 2 stops, and then I have the broadcast up in the background, so I was listening, and they're like, oh, if you can save half a lap of fuel, you can make it to the end. I was like, at that point, that's the point where I dropped off from the top 2, and I started saving. I was heavily saving in the last, I don't know, like 40 laps of that race. So, but no, I do like the number 3, but I'd rather be P1. I felt like I had the speed for it. Just strategy kind of took that away.
Yeah, I mean, hey, man, with how this race came out, green flag runs and not any cautions, having a P3 is nothing to be ashamed about. But this is our last week with the ARCA car, and we're going to trucks starting next week at Kansas. What's your thoughts on going to the trucks now?
So, I love Kansas. I might have to switch out with a teammate. I think Trevor Dyer's gonna race for me. We might both be in it. But if I can run Kansas, I'm more than gonna love that. Like, Kansas is probably my best track by far. So if we go to Kansas, trucks, go-karts, whatever, I got it.
Well, hopefully we can see you on track. But with the P3 finish, who do you have to thank for this P3?
Yeah, I'd like to thank iRacing, MK Fire Design, Sim Motion, Harpoon Designs, Zat Graphics, and of course Lincoln Tech. Lincoln Tech does so much for Go Locker, so that's cool. As well as my dad. My dad watches all these races. He V Speed by and large has some of the best broadcasting I've seen. My girl, who lets me sit here and play a racing video game whenever I get home from work. Obviously Dyson Isley and Fortier, my 3 beautiful children that I'm gonna get to see in a couple weeks, and you guys in the booth. I appreciate the heck out of you guys. I didn't get to last week, but I'm glad I get to talk to you guys. I gotten to talk to you guys for 2 weeks in a row, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome to see the improvement coming out of you in these races. So I mean, huge improvement from you. Glad to see it working out. Hopefully you can continue the streak on a podium next week. So great job, and we'll see you next week, Thaddeus.
Yes, sir. See you soon.
Well, Mike, compared to last week, this was a quick one. I think I'm going to be able to eat dinner at a reasonable time this time. So, looking at the schedule, we finished out phase one for these drivers. So, if you were great at the ARCA car, that was your only chance to get points. We're moving on to the trucks, and the track list is going to get a little bit harder for these drivers. A different challenge with these trucks, both 1.5-mile tracks, but these tracks have different characteristics on how you need to drive the truck, whether it's saving tires or hitting the corners correctly or whatnot. But Mike, I'm excited for it. What's your thoughts on this next phase?
Yeah, that race went by so fast I didn't even get to finish my first drink. So now I'm gonna have to go freshen up. I'm super excited about the moving to the truck series. I think with this foundation series, changing it up, we're gonna see a lot of different names at the top. We're gonna see a lot more issues throughout the race of heating up the right rear or burning off the right front. A lot of different things for these guys to think about, as well as the competition has just been insane. I mean, these guys are battling in 3, 4, 5 car groups, and makes our job super easy. Couldn't thank them enough. It's been a hell of a run so far.
Yeah, and looking at the rest of the schedule, I'm excited, especially when we get into the O'Reilly's part. We have a road course in there, and I know Skylar Daly is very keen on a road course race. So I can't wait for these next coming couple weeks for these drivers. If you're interested in racing these races, head over to Goat Locker Racing's Discord. Come on in and join up. Not only are we a racing league, but we are dedicated to our veterans and supporting veterans in as many ways as possible. But Goat Locker Racing on Discord or goatlockerracing.com, or I think I'm turning into Jake Ellingson now, .com or .org. But
.org. I'm pretty sure it's .org.
GoLockerRacing.org. I think so too, and I told him that the other week. So I'm turning into Jake Ellingson.
You spend enough time with him, you're gonna turn into him. That's just how it works.
Yeah, that doesn't sound great. But my name is Samuel Yosef. I have Mike Browning on my right helping me out today. Skylar Daly was in the back helping out with the broadcast in the foggy conditions. We'll see you next week out in Kansas. Goodbye from everybody.